Welcome everybody, welcome to the Everlast Gym in Liverpool. It's fight week. We've got the open workouts for you today. Top of the bill on Saturday, of course, from the M&S Bank Arena is Natasha Jonas against Mikaela Mayer. Natasha making the first defence of her IBF welterweight title. Jack Cullen defending his British and Commonwealth super middleweight titles against Zack Chell, and plenty else besides. Karis Artingstall on the bill as well. We'll be seeing her very shortly. A very interested observer for all sorts of reasons. Joining me is Lauren Price. Lauren, not just because Karis, who actually has appeared behind us, is boxing, but you'll have a very close eye on the main event as well. It's a good card, and it's a really good fight, isn't it, between Tasha and Michaela Mayer?
Yeah, I think it's a great card. Obviously, Tasha and Michaela headlining. I think it's a 50-50 fight for me. Obviously being in Liverpool as well, with Tasha's home support. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I do think it's going to be a great fight.
And the rumour is, it's more than a rumour, that you're eyeing up the winner. I mean, is that something that you feel could happen? Although we do know that if Michaela Mayer wins, Tasha has a rematch clause and they would have to do it again.
Yeah, I heard that this week. So yeah, obviously I've put it out there. I'd love the winner. For me, I put it out there. I'd love anyone who got a world title at 147. I'm happy to fight anyone. And yeah, obviously we'll see what happens. Anything can happen on Saturday. Anyone can pick up an injury. For me, my main focus is I want to be active again. I want to box, soon as. And I believe, them opportunities will come this year, and I'll be ready for them.
Okay, excellent. Well, we'll just step aside now so we can watch the workout in place. It's funny, these open workouts, because we haven't got a ring today. We're in the corner of the gym in this kind of cage-like structure. It's got this kind of Squid Game vibe about it, to be honest. I always feel like lasers are going to start coming down from those beams. But I mean, what's your approach to these? Because you always have to do them for the fight weeks you're in. Most of the time you're probably trained already during the day, but some fighters do come out and give it some.
Yeah, we've literally just left Sheffield now. Karis this morning, she done 8-2s pads with Richie Woodall, so she's had a little workout today. So yeah, it's just about just getting in front of the cameras, doing a little bit of shadowing. For me, she's had a great camp. I'd say obviously it's a bit of a cliche, but this is her best camp so far. I know a lot of people say that, but she's stayed on it over Christmas. We've done a few rounds sparring as well to keep her on it, and I think she's going to perform Saturday and put on a great performance.
I was talking to both of you in Bournemouth in December about what it's like to watch each other, and the strange thing for you this week is that this is worse for you than actually fighting. In terms of your stress levels, she'll be more relaxed than you, and you're the one watching.
Yeah, I think obviously it works like that both ways for the pair of us, especially when I'm stood ringside after I've left the change room waiting for her to walk out from, a ring walk. But, I believe I'm confident, as long as I've seen the work she's put in and how hard she's trained. So for me, that settles my nerves a little bit, because I know how good she is and how hard she's worked. As long as she puts the work in, her talent, her skill, it'll come through on Saturday.
So I'll be interested to see if you agree with me on this, but watching both of you in your last two fights, Karis with her last one and you in yours, it kind of felt to me watching it, not like it was a turning point exactly, but I felt like for the pair of you, it looked like you both just slowed everything down a bit. You're just a bit more relaxed, a bit more loose. Whereas prior to that, you were maybe trying to force things a bit. Is that fair? Yeah,
definitely. I think obviously I've had 6 fights now. This is Karis' 6 fights. And I think it's just about moulding into that professional, A lot of it comes down to composure, keeping calm, under the bright lights and stuff like that. But each camp, I feel like, working alongside Rob, he's been there with Frotch, he's been there with AJ. He knows the game inside out. And just working with him every day, I think we can see, the improvements, and we're continuing, we're in the gym in Sheffield week in, week out. And I think it's great that we both got him, on our team. And like I said, yeah, this year I think we've seen the step-ups and the improvements we've both made, and I believe there's a lot more to come from the pair of us as well.
He's interesting, Rob, isn't he? Because Frotch used to call him the guru. I was talking to Frotch about Rob last year, actually, and he said for him it was like Karate Kid with kind of Mr. Miyagi and Daniel LaRusso. Rob's like Mr. Miyagi, tells you what to do. And Frotch said from his point of view, he never really questioned it. He would just do it, even when sometimes he thought, I don't know about this, what's the point of this? But he just trusted him, trusted the process.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things. Out of everyone, in my career, out of my family, Rob is someone, especially in this game, who myself and Karis trust. everything, you know, goes through him. And like you said, sometimes, you know, he does train us hard. I believe, you know, there's no one out there who trains harder than us. I know that might sound crazy, but, you know, being up in the headquarters in Sheffield, training, you know, alongside Gallagher as well, he knows that he puts us through our paces, let me tell you that. But he's a great man, you know, inside. He wants the best for us, and I think obviously in this professional game you need people who are in your corner and wants what's best for us. And I believe, you know, Rob he looks after the pair of us.
And when you look at what could come up for the pair of you this year, as you say, you never get ahead of yourself, and Karis has got business to take care of on Saturday, but it looks like that division is at featherweight's opening up a bit. Obviously Serrano has given up the WBC because they won't do 3-minute rounds, so it looks like Sky Nicholson and Sarah Mahfood will box for that at some point. Serrano's boxing Nina Meinke, who I know a little bit actually, and she's mentioned her as being a potentially good opponent. I think she really is, as is Raven Chapman. And for you, there's those obvious options. McCaskill's got 2 belts. Sandy Ryan, another Brit who you know really well, has got another one. There's the winner of this fight. There's, you know, you're there now, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. We want to be in them big fights, you know, this year. And, you know, like Karis have said today, even if she's, you know, not fighting for a world title, she wants them domestic fights like Raven. She wants them step-ups. But I believe, obviously, there's history there with, you know, Sky Nicholson as well. They boxed in the Olympics. I think that can be a great fight, whether it's, you know, this year or whatever. But she's up there now. Like I said, we've had a run out as a professional, and I feel like we want to be in them big fights. We're ready, and yeah, it's exciting.
Because what's really important, it strikes me, because I love the amateurs, I follow the amateurs really closely, and so I love seeing people come through, because it's like I've got this little secret with some of them, not with you two, because everybody knew about you, but I was watching Imam Katayev, for example, at the weekend, who got a bronze at the Olympics. Ben Whittaker beat him in his semi-final, and he's 6-0 now, and I look at him and I feel like he's got to push on to bigger opponents now, otherwise he'll stagnate. And it's a similar kind of thing for you guys, isn't it? You don't want to, we'll just sidle back into shot. You don't want to get to that point where you feel like you're treading water at all. It's got to, everything's about progress.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the things we both, you know, we've kind of worked quite well. Each fight we've had step-ups. Each opponent's been a little bit better. And I think obviously we can thank Rob for that and grasp that, because like you said, when we do get involved in these big fights, these title fights, we're ready for them.
So Karis, first of all, I very much enjoyed the piece you did with Andy Scott down at the Army Barracks. He's a great pal of mine, Andy, but because we're good friends, there's nothing I like more than watching him squirm a bit, and you definitely have that effect on him.
Yeah, and I think, do you know what, I liked watching it back. It was a good laugh and that, and I think if it was to be with anybody else, it wouldn't have been the same. So credit to Andy for taking his part. He'd done his little bit, so fair play to him.
I was just talking to Lauren about the last fights that you both had, and I said it occurred to me that for both of you, it was one of those fights where I wouldn't go as far as to describe it as a turning point, but it just looked like you just slowed everything down a bit, a little bit looser, a little bit more relaxed, weren't necessarily just obsessed with a stoppage, and you just thought, look, I'm just going to let my punches flow and let's see what happens, and we saw what happened. Yeah,
I agree. I think that was the key thing, just relaxing into it and just letting my boxing flow. I think previously I've gone looking too hard for like hurting somebody, and I think naturally, like, it's not even like the fact that I carry power. I think it's just timing and speed just beats everything, and like doing them little laybacks and making them pay for when I make them fall short. I think it works wonders, like especially when I clip them on their chin with a backhand. I think they're definitely going to fit. They're going to know they've been it anyway, that's for sure.
I was talking to David Hay about this last year, about when you know you've got that power, how do you kind of use it? And he said that early on he kind of just felt like he could knock anyone out, but that you have to set it up. It's about getting them to come forward and come onto the punch and flinch into the punch, and I guess these are things that, you know, take a little bit of time to adjust to, because in amateur boxing you don't have to hurt someone to win a fight, but in pro boxing you kind of do, don't you?
Yeah, like if I can hurt him, I'm most definitely going to try my best to hurt him. I just got to bear in mind it's not a sprint, like whether it be 8 or 10 rounds. I can outbox the vast majority of people in my division, and I can do that for 6 rounds, and then they'll start breaking down and start unraveling. I know they will, so then I'll start putting my punches together. But that being said, if earlier on the openings are there for me to take and land a big shot on, then I'm going to go for it.
We were just talking about what could potentially happen down the line. I know you've got a fight to take care of on Saturday, so I don't know whether you'll be able to answer this or not, but it's interesting featherweight, isn't it? You know, Serrano's boxing Nina Meinke. The WBC has opened up. There's things that could happen and happen quite soon, I think.
Yeah, definitely, and that's my aim for definitely by the end of 2024. I want to box for a world title. You've got Amanda Serrano, who's obviously got hold of some titles, and then you've got the WBC that Sky Nicholson's boxing, Sarah Malford, forgive me if that's not how you pronounce her name, but I'd definitely like a shot at one of them 3 boxes to get a shot at a world title, most definitely by the end of this year, 100%.
Okay, so Jack Cullen's just nipped in behind us. Oh no, Zack Chell and Jack Cullen will be next up. They're boxing for the British and Commonwealth super middleweight titles on Saturday. So before I let the pair of you go, let's just talk main event. How do you see it? How do you see it going?
So for me, I think it's going to be a very close fight. I think it's a great fight. But if I had to pick a winner, I'd say Jonas. Obviously she's boxed at 147 before, and with it being in Liverpool as well. And I think she's, if I had to say, she's got a great backhand. She's a southpaw, awkward. So yeah, for me, I'd say Jonas, but not taking anything away from Mayer. I do think it's going to be a great fight.
I hate it when she goes first. I feel like she just said everything I'm about to say now. But no, I picked Natasha Jonas a few weeks back. I did sway about 2-3 weeks ago. I then moved over to Michaela Mayer and thought she might get the job done, just because she punches in bunches and she's got a high work rate. But I have swayed back to Tasha Jonas, and I believe Tasha gets the job done. She's got a lovely crisp backhand. If Michaela walks onto that, she's going to feel it for sure. She's the typical southpaw style. And like Lauren said earlier, she's just comfortable at the weight now, I think, whereas this is Michaela's first time at the weight. Whether that'll pay dividends in the fight, I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it, and it won't be an easy fight regardless.
I mean, something I find kind of interesting with female pro boxing is that because of the 2-minute rounds, there's often not that many stoppages, and the metric we use to try and measure who is and who isn't a big puncher, and it doesn't always, it's not always that accurate. It's how many stoppages people have got. Tasha's knockout ratio is good, 9 in 14 wins, but who would you say in your experience and from watching maybe sparring and stuff are the real heavy punches around your own weights? Because Jonas seems to me like her power is very solid.
Yeah, I can't really comment on that because I've never been in the ring with Jonas. I haven't even I haven't sparred Jonas, but yeah, looking at obviously at a record. I'm not too sure. You said 9 knockouts, was it? Yeah. Obviously, you've got to have a bit of dig. But I believe, with these little gloves on, no matter who you're fighting, anyone can dig. If you land right, you're going to feel it. So yeah, it's interesting.
Who's hit you the hardest, do you reckon, in your boxing career so far?
Well, for me,
Careful with the answer.
Hit me the hardest so far. I'd probably say. In my pro career, I'd probably say not my last fight, the fight before that, the girl that Savannah headlined against, she was obviously coming down in weight. I knew she had, power on her backhand, so I had to stay, move to my right and move away from it. So yeah, I'd probably say her.
How about you? Who's hit you the hardest?
As a pro,
amateur and pro.
Oh, amateur and pro.
Amateur. I didn't say about amateur.
We'll get you out to
Caroline Dewar can dig. She's got a dig on her. I've sparred her in the amateurs, and I think she can punch. Like, fighting wise, I don't know. I have been hit a few times, to be fair. So I couldn't pinpoint one, but I think I can take a punch. Do you know what I mean? So, and once I've been hit with it once, I know I'm not getting hit with it again. That's for sure. But no, I've been hit a couple of times in the amateurs, but nothing that's obviously made me worry too much. But your answer's Caroline Dewar.
Okay. What about amateurs for you?
For me, I've probably got to say, obviously boxing at 75, probably Nushka Fontaine, the Dutch girl. We've boxed each other a few times. She's very, she's big, she's built, she's filled out 75. So yeah, I'd say her.
Okay, no, good. I love that question because sometimes you get a really unexpected answer. Okay, I'll let the pair of you go. We'll be seeing plenty of us during fight week. Too much of us probably. Don't worry, Andy's back tomorrow, so you don't need to worry.
Yes.
Andy's back tomorrow. We'll just pull in Jack Cullen and Michael Jennings as well. Let's get you involved. Now you see, this is. I don't know if you caught that on camera, but that was classic Michael Jennings, because I don't know whether you know, but you've perfected this skill. It might just be natural. Of you look like you know things that other people don't know. So when I see you and I say hello to you, you kind of give me this little nod and a little smile. And what it says to me is, I know something you don't know.
Well, we've got our predictions right recently. with Jack and Mark. You know, when people have wrote them off, and if you want to know something, just come and ask us, and we'll tell you.
I know your brother was great in the post-fight interview last time. He said exactly that, didn't he? Let's just move to the side so we can have a little look at. If you just come over here, Michael, so we can have a little look at Zack Chell. Jack, firstly, what's it been like since the win? You know, you're now Jack Cullen, British and Commonwealth super middleweight champion, and it's got some ring to it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was great. It was great winning the British and Commonwealth title, and at the end of the day, I want to look past it. I want to get a defence on, 2 defence on it, and I want to go for bigger titles, bigger and better titles. I mean, me being as a boxer, me winning a British title, that's not the end of me. That, like, in my mind, and as good as I am, I want to go further. I want to climb the ladder.
In terms of this job, obviously he's boxed Zack Chell before. You were working together at that point, were you?
Yeah.
But obviously you've just coached Mark Jeffers to a win against Zack Chell, so you must feel like you know what the keys are, but obviously him and Mark are different.
Yeah, I mean, in the first fight with Jack, I was actually watching the fight on TV at home, and I was screaming at the TV thinking, I know what you need to be doing here, but you're not doing it. He was backing Shelley up and just stepping off and, you know, just not carrying on with any shots that he can throw. We're not wanting Jack to get too close, but I think we know exactly what we need to do to win.
I mean, how did you find that first fight? He's awkward, isn't he? Stylistically, he's a bit kind of like machine gun like. There's nothing going on, then all of a sudden there's a big burst.
I mean, I've watched it back, and I'm not gonna lie, I was fucking terrible. I mean, sorry for swearing there, but yeah, I was absolutely garbage. I mean, compared to the fighter as I am now, and compared to what I was there 4 years ago, I'm a totally different fighter. You'll see that on Saturday night, on fight night.
I think he's had a change in training setup actually, Zack Chell. I think his dad's no longer part of it. Barry O'Connell, I think, is leading the corner. That was a really good win for Mark that night, wasn't it, Mark Jeffers? Because it was comprehensive. We went into the corner, the camera went quite tight into the corner on Zack, probably 7 or 8 rounds deep at one point, and he had that kind of 1,000-yard stare on him. I mean, you really, as a team, you did a number on him that night.
Yeah, well, I mean, we just look at what they do. First fights, second fights, you know, halfway through the fights, and it didn't seem to change much in any of his previous fights. So we just worked on the same old shots what Zack throws, and Jeff has got the sharpness to capitalise on the openings that he was leaving after he threw his shots.
He's rebounded with a win since then, Zack Chell, and gets his opportunity to box for that British title. Mark Jeffers defending his English against Jermaine Brown. I did hear actually an article I read that Mark was offered Kevin Saggio for the European at about 3 weeks' notice, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, reluctantly to me, Mark wanted that fight, and so we had to sit down, we had to talk about it. Mark's always fit. His hobbies are doing marathons and 10Ks and all the rest of it. He's always in shape. He wanted to fight. We was humming and ahhing. Anyway, we decided, go on, we'll see what happens. And when it came to it, obviously they never picked Mark as an opponent.
But you were ready and willing to do it.
Yeah. Mark, pretty confident in Mark. You know, he's an unknown quantity really. I mean, up until Zack Chell, I don't think anyone had ever heard of him before that. So Saturday night again should be another platform for Mark to springboard himself, get his name out there.
Jack, it'll be some moment though, won't it? You know, walking to the ring for the first time, being announced as the reigning and defending.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course it would. Like I said, I'm not letting go of them titles. I've trained all over Christmas and all the New Year, and I've put some serious hours into this camp, some serious sparring, some serious running track. We've done everything, so I'm ready for a good fight. We'll fight on Saturday night.
The great thing about being a champion though is it's not just having the belts. It's you know, it's the currency it has. You know, you'll be able to fight regularly, because I know a problem before you got that win was that you've been operating at a high level, and that's where you want to stay. You can't go back to small halls, but it meant that the fights were kind of hard to come by, but that shouldn't be the case anymore.
Definitely, no, exactly, it shouldn't be the case, so we'll see. I mean, let's get past that Chell first, and then we'll be moving on to bigger and better things.
Okay, before I let you go, let's have a quick word about the top of the bill. Natasha Jonas up against Michaela Mayer. With your coach's head on, Michael, how do you see that? I like it stylistically as a matchup. I feel like Jonas is the better technical boxer, but with the 2-minute rounds, I think they were both for 3 minutes actually. But with the 2-minute rounds, I won't say it makes it just a little bit more of a lottery, or it can do.
Yeah, I mean, they're still going over the 10, but like you said, sometimes the extra minute in each round makes a massive difference. I do think, like you said, Natasha Jonas is she's technically better, and I do pick her to win as well, to be fair.
Jack?
Yeah, Natasha. She's fighting her hometown, Liverpool. She's coming on with a victory.
Is there going to be anybody left in Little Lever on Saturday night? But I remember when you boxed. I don't think it was at the M&S Bank, but it was in Liverpool anyway against John Harding, and that was a wild old night.
That was a good few years ago as well.
There was a good few there for Checo as well.
For Checo, I mean, at the end of the day, I do well at selling tickets, so yeah, I can imagine that village will be half empty.
Okay, well I'll let you two go. Always good to see you.
Nice one, pal.
And I'll be tapping into the Jennings Knowledge Bank before the weekend, just to make sure I don't get caught out by anything. Okay, gents, thanks very much. So Jack Cullen, who will be defending those British and Commonwealth titles on Saturday night, and we'll be having a chat with Zack Chell in just a second. Just getting those gloves taken off. As I said, last time we saw him, he was up against Mark Jeffers. It didn't go his way that night. He'd been made to wait for a couple of opportunities. Okay, Zack, good to see you.
This way.
So how are you feeling? How are you feeling ahead of this? Because, you know, last time we saw you on Sky, I was just talking to the opposition, to Michael Jennings, about it. It didn't go your way, of course. You made some changes since then, haven't you?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Barry, now the coach. Barry, come in. Yeah, give him a mic. Yeah, working down in State of Mind, located in Hammersmith. Tell him about it, Barry.
Camp has gone brilliant. It's been a brilliant camp. We've been working really since June. If anything, if I've got any complaints about the camp, we've done too much. We've overtrained, but we haven't. It's been right. So we've had to rejig it a little bit from when the fight got announced, because we was hoping for the fight, but we wasn't sure if we were going to get it, and it was great news when we got it. Yeah, it's been a good camp. Done a lot of sparring. Travelled up here a couple of times.
Yeah, spar camps.
Yeah. Up and back in one day twice.
Yeah.
So that's how seriously we're taking it. Gone to Wales for sparring. Gone all over London, and it's been very, very specific sparring. So yeah, I'm really, from a boxing fan point of view, I think it's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to be a really, really good fight. And I'm excited as a fan. But obviously I'm extremely confident that we're going to do the business and come away with the belts.
And it's a rematch, of course. I remember the fight at Fight Camp, and as you walked away from the ring, I remember this vividly. You looked at me and you shook your head.
Yeah.
You felt like you won the fight. I was actually doing the card for Sky that night. They didn't put it up on screen, but I did have you winning. I think I had it 6-4. Jack, we were just talking to him there, and he says himself that he knows that he was lucky that night. But that was then. This is now. I mean, do you take a lot from that? Not too much.
Obviously, there was a bit to take from it. We did fight each other, we did in the ring, gave it our best. I believe he, at that time, he overlooked me, because I came with just 9 fights, and he was meant to be the matchroom boy, the home guy, and he done him a favour. Even I got messages from Eddie Hearn telling me he thought I won the fight after the fight. But yeah, this time I'm more focused. I know what I'm expecting. I'm looking forward to it. I just can't wait. It's a great opportunity for me. 3.5 years in the making. I wanted a fight straight away after. But obviously our paths were different. I went with Boxer. He stayed with Matchroom. Now our paths are collided again, and it's for the British and Commonwealth title. Couldn't ask for anything better.
No, absolutely, because you would have been worried that this opportunity would come. Like Barry said, you were relieved when it did, because you've been in position for it for quite a while now, and fights appeared and then disappeared. And was it the case maybe against Mark Jeffers that it was just one too many, where what was supposed to be happening wasn't happening, and you've got to keep yourself up for it, and because mentally that's difficult.
Of course, from my previous fight, I was expecting to fight Heffron, of course. And obviously, forget about the politics behind it and about how they changed the opponent 2 weeks before the fight and having the same management. I wasn't ready for that, mentally ready, and I think that's the most important about boxing. People don't realise I would say it's 90% mental. You could be the fittest, the strongest ever, but if you're not there mentally, it affects you. You know, it's a bad day in office. I still believe it's a close fight. Many people believe it could have gone either way, but yeah, that's the way it went. And technically, I'm a religious man, as you know. I have God's plan, alhamdulillah. Yeah, everything's worked out well. I don't really feel like I lost anything. I'm the one that's fighting for the British and Commonwealth title. I'm in a great position, so I'm grateful. I'm very grateful.
Barry, just fill people in watching on your boxing background. I know it. I mean, I remember seeing you were at Wembley, weren't you, in the corner with George against Carl Froch. You know, that's nearly 10 years ago now. But, you know, we see you around a lot, but just fill people in on your boxing journey.
Well, I'd like to fill people in on my boxing journey, but I genuinely think coaches take too much praise for what they do. I really, really think Jack's a lovely lad. I think he's a talented lad. I have no doubt that he's going to come as a much more improved boxer because he's a very good coach. I think Zack doesn't even need a coach for this fight. I think he'd go in there with his own ability and win this fight. He's got a better amateur pedigree. I think he fought Ben Wick 3 times. Beat him twice. Did you beat him twice or once?
Once, first time split, second time unanimous.
So he has a better amateur pedigree. I think as a pro, he's had a more... I think he's had a better career as a pro in the fights he's had. I think he's fitter. I think he's stronger. I think I think people underestimate what a good boxer Zack is, which he's shown in the sparring that we've done. So I get what he's saying, and I love that, but I hate being in front of the cameras, and it's not about me, it's about Zack. And any experience that I've gained through George and John O'Donnell and all the other lads, that's amazing, but he's going to do the business himself there, and I'm just going to be there to guide him. And I think even without my guidance, he's going to do the business, and on Saturday he'll be the British and the Commonwealth champion, and then we'll push on from there.
Okay, well, we'll just sidle off camera. That's the cue for us to sidle off camera and just have a look at what you're going to be up against on Saturday. He's always been an interesting fighter for me, Jack Cullen, Zack, because I remember when he first appeared on my radar and I was first going to commentate on him, a good friend of mine from up this way said to me, he's 6'3", but he fights like he's 5'6".
Yeah.
And he is kind of like that, isn't he? He loves it up close,
yeah.
But maybe he's developed that ability to keep it long a little bit more.
Maybe the type of sparring he's had in his gym, because he's tall and he's very tall for his weight. And I guess when he spars with his weight class, they're usually shorter, so he's had to adapt and become tightened up. Who knows, man? But yeah, I'm looking forward to what he has on Saturday. I'm expecting a bit similar to what he done 3 years ago, because you don't change much. You can't really change the style too much, especially as you're getting older. As you say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But I'm not going to underestimate it. We'll see what he has.
Stylistically, I know you don't look at it from a fan's perspective, but if you were a neutral in this one, it looks like the kind of fight that's going to deliver.
I do look at it I love boxing, so I do look at it as a fan. I mean, I've analysed everything. I've watched the fight. I watched the fight 6 times back, the previous fight, and I've watched specific rounds about 3 or 4 times. I've researched his career. I've been a bit of a stalker. I've been stalking him all throughout camp. I'm a massive fan of his coach as when he was a boxer, but I do actually think he's going to make a fantastic fight. But I'm expecting him to box. I'm expecting him to fight. We have a saying that we always expect the unexpected, so we are pretty much prepared for whatever type of fight it's going to be. And I think Zack's going to surprise a few people, not only how he fights, but how he boxes. And yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great to watch. I'm really, really excited.
No, it's a really, really good chief support, really is. You can't beat a fight for British and Commonwealth titles, and super middleweight's a division that, since it was created, has just delivered for Britain, hasn't it? We've had so many top names who boxed at super middleweight. Yeah, exactly. It's been absolutely tremendous. Let's just have a quick chat about the main event. Natasha Jonas against Michaela Mayer. It's a fight that both of them wanted. It seemed like quite an easy fight to make, and again, from a fan's point of view, you feel like it's going to be a good watch.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe one of them's more comfortable at the weight, and she seems bigger. And Jonas, she's coming into the weight quite easy as well, especially being a mother of 3. She's doing pretty well to train quite hard. So yeah, I don't know how she does it, but she's pulled off. She's unified world champion, all the belts on the line. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, good fight. Similar, tall boxer against a short boxer. Obviously, I'd love Natasha Jonas to win. because she's a British girl. I'm a big fan of Mayer. I like Mayer. I thought she was unlucky against. I was struggling to pronounce it.
Baumgartner.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good fight. And again, I think the whole show, the two main events, or the main event and chief support, are going to really, really deliver from a fan's perspective, which is obviously I'm ecstatic to be in the corner. It's a shame that you're going to miss all the other fights. So yeah, I think you guys have done well. You've got a good show. Well done.
That's the only drawback really about being second to top, isn't it? Is that you can't watch any of the other fights, and you know you'll be when you finish yours, you know you'll just want to do whatever you want to do at that point. It's the logistics of it can be quite funny sometimes. In terms of your own career, where would be the kind of where's your dream location or dream venue for a fight to top a bill, sell the place out?
I say at the moment it's Saudi Arabia. Everything's happening down there. It looks like they have some great cards. They got the money as well. I'd love to be one of those undercards, maybe even Joshua Fury. That'd be great. Great undercard to be on. I mean, I know they're doing 5v5 Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. Maybe Ben Shalom get involved in that as well. You know, it'd be great. It's like WWE or whatever it is.
How about the UK?
UK, I love London. London's home for me. Wembley Stadium, that's the area, right? That's the one. That's for the most people. That'd be great to fight at that one.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Okay, gents, thanks very much.
Thank you.
I'll let you go. We'll be seeing plenty of each other during fight week. Zach just ducking under the camera like a true pro. Barry doing the same thing. So that's the chief support. Jack Cullen, Zack Chell going for the British and Commonwealth super middleweight titles. Karis Harting store boxing, Leela Furtado. And we've also got a really good show opener between Aaron McKenna and Linus Adofia. So plenty to look forward to. It wouldn't be a Liverpool show really if we didn't have a Smith brother in attendance. All the Smith brothers, well, apart from one actually, have been with us this afternoon a little bit earlier, Stephen Smith, who's trading Steve Clark, who's on the bill, who's managed by Paul Smith. Just tell us a bit about him first actually, Steve Clark, because he's, you know, I was aware of his name in the amateurs, but I missed the ABA finals, the Senior Elite finals, the NACs as they're now called actually, last year, but he won them, didn't he? He's turned pro. This is going to be his professional debut. He sells a lot of tickets. He could definitely fight. I mean, there's a lot to like about him.
Yeah, he's a likeable kid as well. He's a really nice lad, a nice young man. He's got a degree in business management, finance. He's a good fighter. He's ABA champion. He's boxed for England and GB. He won the ABAs and then decided to turn pro because I don't think there's a 75 kilo weight limit in the Olympics. So he's decided to turn pro first. He asked me to manage him, which I'm privileged to do, and I'm getting behind the kid as much as I can, and I think he's going to be a little bit of a fan favourite. I had a good chat with Ben Shalom over him coming on board with Sky. I think Sky can get behind him. He's a big ticket seller. He's took 1,000 tickets for this and they've all gone more or less. He's going to have a big following wherever he goes. He took in nearly 300 people to the ABA final in Newcastle from Liverpool, so it shows you what he's going to be able to do in the pros with tickets. And he will be one to get behind, but as I say, for me the most important thing is you're likeable, down to earth, nice kid as well, and that goes a long way in boxing.
It absolutely does. Michaela Mayer just moving in behind us, so we'll just move to the side, Paul. We'll just slide off to the side. Stephen's building up a bit of a stable, isn't he, your brother, going in as a trader? Was that something he was always going to do, because he's got Charlie Edwards as well, isn't he? Charlie was here today.
It's one of them things when you retire and you either want to manage, you want to train, you want to do both, you want to do this. You can't just announce I'm now a trainer and expect people to sort of want to jump on board, but people have, and that's a good thing for Stephen. I think they know what his brain's like, what his boxing knowledge is like. He's a very likeable lad as well, Stephen, and he's going to be a very good coach. And as you say, he's building a good little stable up already. He's got Liv O.C., he's got Jake Henty, he's got Charlie Edwards, Stephen Clark now as well, and the gym will be packed, and as I say, he's got a lot of knowledge to pass on, so it'll be a shame and a crying shame if he didn't have the chance to pass that knowledge on as a trainer or as a coach of some form.
So you were all out in Quebec last week. I very much enjoyed all the stuff you did with Andy Scott, where Sky Sports News seems to be waging some kind of in-house competition as to who could stick Andy Scott in the biggest snowdrift. It was really good fun, wasn't it? It looked good fun anyway. And it's, you know, fight week sometimes, particularly if you can't really go outside, because there was no percentages spending much time outside. You could go a bit mad, can't you? You could go a bit stir crazy. You know, it helps pass the time.
We said that when we got there. The hotel was a huge sort of 2-story, 3-story hotel. It wasn't like a high rise, so it had a big footprint, if you know what I mean. And we were laughing and joking at the start of the week, saying it was a bit like The Shining. And because we were snowed in with the storm a couple of days, we were all worried about going a bit stir crazy like The Shining, but we had enough to keep ourselves occupied, and the Mario Kart and things like that. But fight week gets boring, gets monotonous, it gets a bit stressful sometimes. So people like Andy Clark doing the things that he was doing on them interviews and on the VTs that he was sending back is a welcome breath of fresh air, in my opinion. And we like Andy anyway. He's good company to have around. Listen, all the lads are, all the lads and the girls that were involved with Sky are good people to be around. So we're fine with that fight week, and it helped pass the time, as you say. It helped sort of get rid of a bit of the monotony. What happens on fight week?
It was a hard night in the end for Callum. It was great to have him on. It was great to have him on Sky. We'd had so many of his nights on Sky. Just sitting watching it myself, me and Matt Macklin, it was one of those scenarios where you don't spend your time thinking about what Callum didn't do. You just look at the other guy and just admire what he did do, because he is special, isn't he, Better BO?
Yeah, he is. He's a phenomenal fighter. We knew that getting in there, though, but you know, it is what it is. As Callum said on the night in the interview that he did with Andy, you know, he lost to the better man on the night, and that's all you can really say and take from it. You know, the rest of the stuff, what everyone keeps talking about, is one for debate. But you know, boxing is its own worst enemy at times, and all I want to see is the best people fighting the best people, good fights being made. Even with not the best people, you get two good fighters at English title level, you're going to have a great night and a great fight to watch, and if it's evenly matched. And we just want to see that, and you want to either win and beat the better man or lose to the better man. That's it. No excuses, no ifs, buts or maybes, and that's how Callum's taken it at the moment. But you know, boxing's boxing, isn't it? It's not in the best place at the moment, and we need more of the good fights and the good fighters to sort of bring boxing back to where it should be.
Well, this top of the bill, it's got the hallmarks of a good fight, hasn't it? Michaela Mayer just in action there, hitting the pads, and they both wanted this. It's been mooted for a while. Michaela moving up to welterweight, super featherweight. Not that long ago, you look at her now and you wonder how on earth she managed that.
Yeah.
It's you do. I mean, how depleted she must have been during fight week. We'll ask her in a bit, but it's a good matchup stylistically in every way, really.
I nearly messed up there saying about a lady that she's huge, but I mean that in a boxing context,
exactly.
And I mean that in the nicest way possible as a compliment. She's tall, she's got a big frame on her. It's amazing to see how she made the weight below. Obviously, I think she's filled into it okay. She doesn't look fleshy. She doesn't look like she's got a lot of spare weight that she could have lost. So I'm sure she'll be on it. And I've said time and again, Natasha Jonas, in my opinion, has got enough to do this and to win and look well doing it. But she's going to have to be at her best to get rid of Mayer. Mayer's a good fighter and has been around the block before and is experienced also. And she looks up for it.
Yeah, she absolutely does. She always is. And she understands the business as well, I think. You know, she brings what she needs to bring to fight week, to the build-up. She absolutely, she gets it, you know, as we say often. You've known Tasha forever in her boxing journey. Has she surprised you at all in what she's done in the pros? Because for a bit it looked like she might not even turn over.
I think she surprised everyone. She was probably done before even turning pro. She'd had enough of boxing in a sense, and to decide to then come back, turn professional, get stuck into boxing again, and to do what she's done has been absolutely brilliant. She lost for a world title at a lower weight, went up and won one at the weight above, but a couple of weights above her, and to do what she's done in boxing so far, just as a Scouse woman, a mother. You know, people forget she's a mum as well. She's got a daughter. I think she's probably 7, 8 or 9 now, similar age to my daughter, and it must be so hard for females to give birth, get the body back first and foremost, get in shape again and be able to, you know, fighters have 4 weeks off, male fighters have 4 weeks off, get out of shape and find that difficult. Try having a baby. She's got my respect in bucket loads for what she's done just to be boxing at a competitive level, never mind being the world champion that she is, and the city's proud to have her, and hopefully the city turns up for her on Saturday night to support her.
I just had to overcome some proper adversity as well. I absolutely echo everything you said there about the toll that it would have taken on her, managing to come back after that. And she had to come back from the defeat against Obernauf as well. Vivian Obernauf, I was commentating on that, and it was a bad stoppage. And at that point, to be honest with you, I felt like that could well be it.
Yeah.
Not that we would never see her again, but that having happened to her mentally would be hard to get over.
I agree, and listen, then the Harper fight also, which I felt still to this day, and I'll say it to anyone, she won that fight, and she didn't get the look of the draw, the rub of the green, whatever way you want to call it, but just to come back after that, also that takes a lot out of you. But she's from good stock, she's from a good fighting family. The family's great. There's sportsmen and women in that family all over the place across all kinds of different disciplines of sport. There's footballers, MMA fighters, professional boxers, and she's doing her family proud, her family name proud. She's carrying it well. The mural recently, what I saw, looks amazing down in there in the south end of the city where she's from. And as I say, south and north, this city should be very proud of her, and I hope it's a busy night on Saturday to support her, because she's going to need it in this fight, because it's a tough fight. It's one that I can see her winning and doing well in, Tasha, but it's a tough fight and it's a live fight.
Yeah, the talent gene pool in that family is impressive, isn't it? As it is in yours. Okay, we'll let you go.
Thank you.
Thanks very
much.
We'll see you plenty during the course of the week. Looking forward to seeing Steve Clark as well on the night. He'll be making his pro debut, which is always interesting, especially someone who sold a lot of tickets. Michaela Mayer just finishing off here on the bag. As we said, she used to be at super featherweight. She was a unified champion at super featherweight. Then on that big all-female night at the O2 back in October 2022, she took on Alicia Baumgartner for Undisputed. It was close. It was a very close fight. I was there as a fan that night myself, and I was away from the ring, so it was difficult to make too solid a judgment on it. But when it got to the end, I felt like it was close. She did get it, and as she described herself, that was a major setback, and you can't afford too many of them, because it snakes the ladders boxing, a boxing career. Either you move up or you go down, and you can fall quite a long way, and getting back in, getting opportunities can be difficult. So she's moved up in weight. We've seen her adjust to that weight over the course of a couple of fights, but this will be the first time that she's boxing at flat out welterweight of 147 pounds. But as myself and Paul were just saying there, it's kind of incredible that she really managed to make super featherweight. So Michaela's just come over to join us now. We were just saying, myself and Paul Smith, and I know people say this to you a lot now, how did you do it, super featherweight? How did you do it? And how depleted were you during fight week?
It wasn't fight week where I was depleted. It was me depleting my body throughout an entire 10-week camp. So most people aren't on a calorie deficit for 10 weeks. They start that weight cut towards the end of the camp, where I had to start from day one. So training was not fun. Camp was not fun. By the time I got to fight week, I was so dieted down that I was very well conditioned, always well conditioned, but I just didn't have, and I couldn't afford to put on muscle.
Yeah, and of course, fighters talk quite often, don't they, about if something becomes too much of a battle with the scales and you don't really have as much time or as much mental bandwidth to practice your skills as much as maybe you could be. And boxing is a sport, it's about skill.
You know, I always trained really extremely hard when at 130. I had to run every day, lots of rounds in the gym, lots of rounds in sparring. I've switched that up a little bit. So still obviously just as much boxing and technical work as I've always done. I have a very technical team, but you know, less long runs, more explosive work, and more strength building. So I feel a lot better. I'm comfortable. It's been I still had to cut a little bit. I still had to diet down, obviously, but this is the best I ever felt.
I was watching The Lie Detector yesterday, and as I was watching it, I was with our great friend Spencer Oliver. They were kind of impossible questions, weren't they? Because I've been looking into this quite a lot myself recently, the level of fear that fighters need.
Yeah.
And of course you're not fearful on the night, but that question of, you know, are you fearful of losing or of getting knocked out? Boxers always say to me, even if I'm not, I tell myself I am, because that fear is what drives me during camp. Okay. You need that knot of fear to kind of motivate you. So that was a no-win situation, that question.
There's so much context that goes into those questions. Like, there's so much that ran through my brain when those questions were asked, you know, so tons of emotion. And I guess that's what the lie detector picks up on. But at the end of the day, yeah, none of us want to lose. We all work way too hard to not get our hand raised. So there's always that thought in the back of your head. But you also, just for mental purposes, you don't want to visualize that thought. You want to stay focused on the positive. You want to envision your hand being raised. So it's a battle of the mind, but that's part of the training as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated thing, isn't it? You know, it's that kind of compartmentalisation where that acceptance of what could happen needs to be there, but you also need to decide that a defeat is definitely not going to happen. I'm kind of obsessed with it, that mental shift that you have to make. No one's taking that lie detector thing seriously anyway, by the way. It was just a bit of fun. But, I mean, you love coming here, don't you? You've boxed here a lot now, and I think there's a connection between you and the British fans.
I hope so, because I am obviously in the Lions Den, as Tasha would say. I'm in her hometown. She may have the fans on her side on Saturday night, but I do know that I have a good fan base here. At least I hope so. That's the feeling that I've got. It's one of the reasons why I love coming out here. So please, if you're Team Michaela, definitely get your tickets and show up Saturday night.
I hear you're a Beatles fan.
I'm a Beatles fan, yes.
So can we expect something on the ring walk?
I have to. I grew up listening to the Beatles. My mom played them every morning. I know almost every song. Huge Beatles fan, so I had to walk out to a Beatles song this time, for sure.
Okay, well, you're not going to give it away.
Can't tell you what it is.
We'll wait and see. Hopefully I'll recognise it. I mean, I was kind of the same. There's a lot of it in my house when I was a kid too. But just to talk about the fight, people will inevitably talk about it's the first time that you've boxed a southpaw as a pro, but you're a very, very experienced amateur, so it's not like this is the first time this has happened.
Yeah, definitely not a first in my experience as a fighter, but as a pro, yeah. And I've taken that seriously because there are certain things that go into training for a southpaw. You know, like I said, I come from a very strategic, technical team of coaches where they take all that into account. We always have a strategy. We always have a backup strategy. So it's been fun, though. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel going into camp, you know, but it's been a really great camp, and I'm excited for the challenge.
Okay, well, we'll bring your coach in now, Coach Al Mitchell. Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for joining us. So, how's she looking?
She looking pretty good, you know, and she looks stylish with her white sneaks on. But we need her hands for this bout. You know.
So we were just saying that as a professional, it's the first time she's boxed a southpaw. We just need you to move just slightly that way, I think. But with all the experience she's got as an international amateur, you know, it's not like it's a big problem, her facing a left-sided fighter.
No, I don't think it's going to be a big problem at all. Both of these young ladies is real talent. Both of them going to want to win. And it's who keep the mental mentality and want to win. I really believe it's going to come down to the last 3 or 4 rounds who won it the most. Southpaw or right hand, it's going to be at the end of the day who won it the most.
Well, I mean, I'm commentating on the fight, so that's absolutely what I hope for, because when you go deep in a fight, you get to that point where it's who can break the other person's will, but who can hold their technique together. That's really key, isn't it, when it gets to a real hard fight? That's what I'm hoping for. And I kind of feel like that's what you want as well.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Al is all about me staying disciplined. He says it all the time. This is a disciplined fight. You have to stay disciplined. That's why in sparring, he's constantly, a lot of coaches stay quiet in the corner. He's never quiet. He's constantly on me, fixing my mistakes, constantly. So I think that'll be really important, just me sticking to listening to him and staying focused and disciplined.
How easy or difficult is it in the heat of a really hard fight for you to get through to your fighter, communicate to them what you need to communicate to them, and for you to be able to take it in? Because
it's been good for us.
Sitting there watching it sometimes, it looks like it's not, you know, I don't know if it were me, I just feel sometimes like I don't know if I'd be able to absorb anything.
I feel like I listen well.
She does, but like most women, she probably only listens to 70%. You know how it goes and everything.
He's old-fashioned, guys.
Yeah, but this bout will come to, in old days, we're going to say, who's going to be the tougher man? This one's going to be who's the tougher lady. I think it's going to be a great, outstanding bout.
So what do you make, technically, what do you make of Natasha Jonas? What kind of problems does she present?
Number 1, she's a southpaw. Number 2, she's smart and educated in the ring. She move around good. She work behind the jab, and true southpaw throwing the straight left. It's going to be the straight left against the straight right hand. Who catch the other one the most, going to win this bout.
I mean, He makes boxing sound really simple, doesn't he?
He really does. He has a way of making everything sound really simple, but it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We know that she's got a rematch clause.
Yeah.
I know for you it's not an if you win. For you it's going to happen. So your future is mapped out. I mean, the rematch, would you come back here, or would you want that in America, or how would you see that?
The rematch is actually already set. There's location and date. So, I mean, assuming the rematch goes on, there is already a planned location for that. So I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you all, but ask me after.
Okay, well we better. I won't go there just in
Okay.
case I get in trouble. But is it just that one way? I mean,
I don't have a rematch on my side. It's
Okay.
just for her. So
Okay.
in my head, there's a rematch, right? I plan on
Right.
winning, but I have to beat her twice.
yeah.
And then there's a winner. There's a fighter that gets the winner of that rematch, and I know
Yeah.
who that is too.
Okay, yeah, I've got an idea of who that is.
Yeah.
I think we spoke to her earlier, but again, I'm not going to name names. I'll let you two go. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.
We will be seeing you a lot during the course
Thank
of the week.
you.
Al, thanks a lot. Great to
so
speak to you. We will now bring in the trainer of Natasha Jonas, Joe Gallagher.
Hi mate, you okay?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Good to see you as always.
No problem.
It's a great fight, this, isn't it? Really good match-up, and I think we guarantee good action.
Yeah, definitely. You just see Michaela there doing a bit of a punching session there with the coach. Looks sharp, looks on point, done some good drills there, and yeah, it's got to be a good fight. It's a proper 50-50 fight, and I'll say Natasha's the champion. Big opportunity for Michaela. Natasha's fighting in Liverpool, and you can just tell by the amount of people that have bought tickets for the event. Everybody knows this is a tough fight, a hard fight, and that's what boxing fans want to see. It's the best fight in the best, and here we are, obviously with Natasha and Michaela Mayer.
I was asking Lauren Price at Karasati's stall earlier on about power, because in female pro boxing with the 2-minute rounds we don't get as many stoppages, so that metric we have for measuring power, which is generally knockout ratios, which can be a kind of imperfect way of doing it anyway, it doesn't really tell us very much. Tasha's knockout ratio is healthy. Would you say she's one of the stronger punchers in that top bracket in female pro boxing?
Yeah, her record shows that. I know she's done a few distance fights, but she had moments with Terry Harper. She had moments with Katie Taylor that she landed good shots and distressed her. Yeah, no, what you see when she won the title, beating Christian Namis. Natasha can punch, but Tasha's more than a puncher. She's a boxer, and that was a big asset. Her feet, her amateur pedigree, and that's what's brought her to where she is today. Not necessarily the power, but her boxing brain and her being able to adapt in a fight and change, and I think that's one of the key things.
Weight's an interesting one in this fight, because with female fighters, you know, physiologically they're just more capable of traversing the weights than men.
Yeah.
Tasha would say that she's never really a super welterweight, but you go there because that's where the opportunities were. That she's probably at her best maybe at super lightweight even rather than welterweight. Michaela's come up from super featherweight as well. Who do you feel is actually the more natural welterweight?
Well, I think if Michaela had come up a bit sooner and she had a chance to grow into the division and develop and strong and fight at the division, then most would say Michaela Mayer. But you also remember as well Natasha Jonas. She won ABA titles, and she won ABA titles at 75 kilos, at 71 kilos. So then she went professional, went down, and now she's come back up to more natural weight, now come back down to 147. So I'd say Natasha's more natural at 147 through the weight divisions that she fought in the amateurs. As a pro, I don't think Michaela fought that high in the amateurs when Natasha did, and Natasha's power held up well there in the amateurs at 71, 75 kilos, as it is in the pros now. So I'd say Natasha, and you touched on there the knockout ratio. Natasha, yeah, she can punch, and if there was a fight to have been made over 3 minutes, this would have been the fight. I think it would have been a brilliant exhibition for women boxing to see fighters box over 3-minute rounds, the shot selection, picking the shots, not rushing things, and like I say, it was just a shame. This was a great opportunity for that to happen, but obviously, like you say, we've got the fight. It's over 10 twos. I'm still a big believer, before we go into threes, then let's do 12 twos. But stylistically wise, Michaela, where she's from, a coach, a very experienced coach, good coach, had the great fighter David Reed, who's a formidable fighter, and Natasha Jonas has settled into the pros very good now. That she, if you walk in the gym and watch her doing 3-minute rounds, you think, wow, she's class. Tasha, I call her a little haggler, and maybe she has to be a bit haggler-esque on Saturday night to get this job done.
So how does that conversation go when it comes to the 2 or 3 minute rounds? Because as I understand it, people have this idea, a lot of people I think watching, that the females aren't allowed to box 3 minute rounds, and that's not the case. You just, as I understand it, the promoter applies to the border control here. It would be the commission in America, whichever state it was in, and basically applies for 3 minute rounds if both fighters want 3 minute rounds, and then they make a decision as to whether they'll allow it or not. So what actually is stopping it at the minute? Is it individual fighters not wanting to do it, or is it commissions or the border control not wanting to do it?
Money.
Right, okay.
Money, very pure and simple. We were asked, it's like anything in life, Andy, you can't ask, I try and equate it to the Wimbledon tennis. Men are doing 5 sets, women are doing 3 sets. Ask a woman to do 5 sets, they want more money. You're doing 10 twos and you want them to do double the workload, 20 minutes work to 36 minutes work. And I think a lot of people these days, they want main events for half price money. And I think this is one of them situations. And I think if the money was paid, the fights would happen. This is well worthy of it. And basically it just comes down to money, not wanting to pay that main event money. I think with like Natasha, Michaela, main event, everything else, but it's half the money.
You weren't expecting that, no, I wasn't, but it's good to know.
No, it's the money. You ask Michaela now if you were to do 3 minutes, and she'll go, yeah. You say to Tasha 3 minutes, they'll both do 3 minutes. Yeah. But it's like anything, whether you're a roofer, you're not got to charge the same for a 2-bedroom terrace as you are a 4-bedroom detached somewhere, and that's no different, even if you're in a parking space, Andy. So these girls have got to be in the ring for 36 minutes, so they want paying for 36 minutes work. And people aren't willing to pay that.
No, well, I'm the same. If it's going to be 36 minutes of commentating rather than 20, then I want more money, Joe.
Exactly, there you go. So there's your answer.
But in terms of the matchup, what are you kind of expecting from Mayer? Because I feel like she can do it a number of ways, but that her kind of natural instinct is to hold her ground, stand her ground and fight.
I think with Michaela, this is what makes it such an interesting fight and a good fight. Being an Olympian herself, she's come through the Olympics on that computer scoring system and everything else. Michaela Mayer, if you watch her, she can box on the back foot, she can box on the front foot. She can go and have a tear-up, I was doing with Hamadouche. She can bring whichever. We've had to prepare for whichever Michaela Mayer turns up. So Natasha's had really good sparring. I also expect Michaela Mayer to switch southpaw in the fight. There'll be at moments where she'll change her leg positions to throw better shots. We've got to make sure that Natasha is switched on. Michaela Mayer's coming over here. She's not here to make up numbers. She's not here for a payday neither. She knows this is a gateway to her to win a title and get amongst the mix with all the big fights. When Natasha's looking at this fight as a win and then onto an undisputed or a unified with Jessica McCaskill, a last dance with Katie Taylor. They're the fights Natasha Jonas is looking at. So you've got both 2 girls come here, both full of desire, both full of will. And like I say, both girls are going to have to fight down on the gum shields to win this fight on Saturday night.
I hope so. Okay, well, Bruce Spencer-Oliver in. I don't know if we need to let Joe go because I don't know if Natasha's...
I think she's still on a school run, I think.
Here yet. But, okay, great. We'll keep you for a bit longer. Spencer, how are you? Last time I saw you, we were standing outside Outernet on Tottenham Court Road, absolutely freezing.
Yes, it was -5, wasn't it? Something around there.
Something
we were
like
trying to do some sort of podcast, and I thought we'd done all right, really, under the circumstances.
I thought you were going to say for a minute, stood outside at 5 in the morning, outside Wetherspoons or something
no,
for a minute.
That's a different story, John, a different time, yeah.
Oh, sorry, we're online. Sorry,
that was when we was in Manchester, anyway. Let's move on,
yeah.
We were just talking about the main event and just the whole fight week, and it's a very, very good main event between Jonas and Mayer because, and also what I really like about it is it's not just I think what we're going to see in the ring, the high level we'll see in the ring and what I do expect to be a good fight. These are 2 professionals who outside the ring, they completely understand the business side of it. They completely understand their media obligations. They just get it. On every level, they get it.
Andy, do you know what it is? This is what women's boxing is all about, and this is why it's evolved so much over the last couple of years, because the women don't let the politics get involved in it. They want to fight. The best want to fight the best. I mean, both these girls' careers started down at super featherweight. You know, Michaela Mayer become IBF champion, and Natasha Jonas had that controversial draw with Terry Harper. Then she moved up to lightweight, very close. Some people felt she actually won against Katie Taylor as well. And you thought, is she going to be? Is she not going to be? Is she going to be the nearly girl? You know, was it going to turn around? You know, fast forward a couple of years, and you look what she's achieved. because she's willing to go through the weights, jumped right up to super welterweight, come back down to welterweight. I mean, that is what it's all about, the best fighting the best. And that's what we've got here on Saturday night. Michaela Mayer is looking to become a 2-weight world champion as well. She's jumped up the weights because the fight she's been chasing. Many say a real 50-50 fight. Both girls are going to bring it. Both girls, you can expect, as we always do with the women's boxing, fireworks, because they're both so hungry and they so believe they're going to win. This fight really excites me for so many reasons, but I love what the women are doing right now, where the best are fighting the best and they're just getting it on, and that's so important for boxing as a whole.
You should just drop the mic and do a tour of the gym off the back of that. That's what a salesman. What a salesman. You just talk the fight up perfectly. Something I want to ask you, Joe, that I was talking to one of our other guests about a few minutes ago is when she got stopped by Vivian Obernauf, Natasha. I remember that. I commentated on that fight, and I'll be honest, I didn't see what has happened since coming. I just didn't, because she'd had that layoff between finishing amateur and turning pro, and then with things on the horizon, it was a bad stoppage, wasn't it? And mentally, that would have taken a lot of getting over. I mean, at that point, did you feel like what has happened since could still happen?
At the time, obviously, it was, I call it a terrible car crash, and a car crash where it can psychologically damage you, being knocked out, being in the changing rooms, no one coming to see you, on your own, emotional drive home, and like you said there, everyone writ her off, but like you say, Natasha's desire, listen, when you operate at the top level, they have that something special, and that's what Natasha has that something special. She bites down on the gum shield, she knuckles down, and like you said there, she beat Terry Harper, but she didn't get the decision. She pushed Katie Taylor close, didn't get the decision. That's enough for any girl to go, Joe, what, I'm done. But no, third time of asking, she came and did it again. And that shows when it comes to the hard rounds, when you have to bite down the gum shield and dig in, she's going to have to do that on Saturday night.
Okay, we'll just sashay round to the right-hand side. We need to let Joe go in a minute.
Oh, has she turned up, has she?
No. Yeah, she's here. Joe, just
1 minute. Tasha, is this champion lifestyle? You make everyone kick weight? No, it's all right. Go on. Is this what the champs do? Like they make everyone wait? Go on.
Joe, I just wanted to ask you. In many ways, we talk about the first defeat. There it was not like there was not a title on the line there, and you say it was a crushing defeat and difficult for her to come back from. But in many ways, the controversial draw against Terry Harper, and then the fight that she lost against Katie Taylor, that must have been more difficult to come back from than even the first one, with that feeling that the boxing gods were against her.
And there were. But like you say, she wouldn't finish until she had that chapter of life complaining. The trouble is she showed me that'd be it then. But since then, it's been, right, Tash, you've won that belt. Well, I won that belt. Right, Tash, you've won that. Well, I won the ring belt. Right, Tash, I've won Fighter of the Year. Board. Right, pack it in now. No, I want this one. And even this week, she's gone, do this. Not overlooking, because it's a hard fight. But there's still one or two where I want pipe and slippers for her. But like you say, the fire in her belly, her dedication in the gym, the desire, her application to her job. She's a shining example for the young people in the gym. The kid that she's managing, Mikey Talon, who's on the bill, to look up and see her boss going through that and doing that. As you say, we just joked there that she was late, but she's there, she's doing the school run, keeping things normal as she can be. It's fight week, biggest fight of her life, and she's doing the school run. School run and family comes first, and Michaela and Natasha, the way they carry themselves outside the ring, they're just pure class. Two ladies, and they're a credit to the sport.
Joe, I won't say this too loud, but at the ripe old age of 39, you do say, like you say to her, Tash, when are you going to give it up? You've got everything now. Two-weight world champion. First woman ever to win the British Lonsdale Best Boxer of the Year and all that. And you say, when is it going to end? When's it going to stop? Because she seems to be getting better, actually. The performances, the maturity of her, seems to be getting better at this age. And you go, Joe, when is it going to end?
Just because it's a matter. She isn't on performance-enhancing drugs either, before everyone starts throwing that one about. So, listen, she's 39. We're joking, the gym, she carries on much longer. We'll have to call her Mrs. Foreman. But she's doing well. Listen, she's there now. She's got me skipping with her. Yeah, so, no, listen, Tasha, she's a good girl, do you know what I mean? So, fair play to her. She's a credit sport, and you should enjoy her for as long as you can. And like you say, you can tell by the sales tickets, everyone's coming out to support her. She's a darling of Liverpool. She had the mural done this week as well of her, and there isn't much for her to do now, but like I say, to scout Michaela Mayer would be right up there, one of her best performances of her career. Can I go now?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Cheers,
yeah,
thank
you can,
mate.
absolutely.
Thanks, mate.
I'll take that off you, let you slide away. The mural's a big deal, isn't it, Spence?
Yeah.
You know, you get that kind of recognition from your community. That's big.
That's absolutely huge, you know, and I mean that mural is something really, really special, and I think that it means a lot to Natasha, it means a lot to her family, and you know that in her hometown, and then getting this homecoming against Michaela Mayer in a fight that promises to be a classic and will go down as an all-time, you know, great women's boxing contest because of the styles of the two fighters. You know, I think that Natasha's getting her just rewards right now. You know, the mural, the homecoming, everything. You know, this girl has worked so hard, you know, boxing in the Olympics, losing in the quarterfinals to Katie Taylor, and then, you know, like I say, those knockbacks in her professional career. Now you look at where she's come from, where she's come to, and you see her now, look, messing around with her daughter, setting up a future for her family, which is absolutely beautiful. And her daughter seems to be coming out on top here a little bit, if I'm totally honest. I mean...
But as we've been saying, she is...
I think she was coming out on top there a little bit there.
That lesson being that you just need to persevere. If you persevere and believe in yourself, then that corner can get turned. And it's quite normal in boxing, isn't it, for the rewards to come towards the end. You have to graft and graft and graft and graft, and then you stay ready. The opportunity comes and you can take it, and then that's when things can really start to happen. But if you don't stay the course, if you don't have that stickability to keep going, then it won't happen.
The knockbacks are the difficult things, the difficult hurdles to overcome. And like you say there, Andy, I think you get those just rewards. You only get out what you put in boxing. Cheats always get found out. You've got to do it. You've got to live, sleep, eat boxing. You know, you can leave no stone unturned. And Natasha Jonas has done that. You know, right from the beginning of her professional career, since she teamed up with Joe Gallagher. We know what Joe's like as a trainer. He's a real student of the game, and he, you know, all these fighters come in fully prepared, fully fit, because that's the way they work. They live, eat, sleep it, and Natasha is no exception to the rule. That's exactly what she does, and that's what she's done, and that's why, you know, at the back end of her career, she's getting the success she's getting because, you know, like, because she's put the hard graft in.
Set up in that southpaw stance, of course. That left-hander stance. We were talking to Michaela Mayer about that a few minutes ago, Spence, and her trainer Al Mitchell, whether that would be any kind of an issue. And it's the first time she's boxed a southpaw as a pro, but she's done plenty of it as an amateur. But it is generally something that orthodox fighters are massively keen on, just because it's a rarity. It's not something you do all that often. Just describe for people the difficulties involved in boxing a southpaw for an orthodox fighter.
Oh, well, it's, you know, that's why a lot of orthodox fighters have so much difficulty with southpaws, because obviously they box, the left hand is the backhand of the punch, and with orthodoxes they lead with a jab, and the southpaw will always lean over, come over the top of that right hook and drive that left hand through the middle. That's when Natasha's effective, very effective as well. She's a counter puncher. She waits, she takes that half a step back, comes over with a right hook and drives the left hand through the middle. That's very difficult for an orthodox to deal with if they're not used to fighting southpaws. Now, as you pointed out there, Andy, Michaela Mayer has never boxed a southpaw as a professional, so that may be a big problem for her moving forward. Forget that she's a former Olympian, and in the amateurs she would have boxed a lot of southpaws. You know, she's been a professional now for a long time, and not boxing a southpaw as a professional, that may be a problem for her going into this fight, because Natasha's not just an ordinary southpaw, she's an awkward one, like, as in her timing's very good. She knows she's aggressive, but she's very heavy-handed with that right hook over the top and that left hand through the middle. You know, out of her 14 wins, 9 of those have come by the way of KO. That is a high knockout percentage for a woman, for a female boxer. Have 9 of your 14 wins by KO, and that's why you can see there that you can hear the sound of the shots going in there. She really drives that left hand through the middle. Looks in great shape.
It's always had that really good balance as well, good footwork. I'm just trying to see if Michaela Mayer is stuck around to have a look at this. Sometimes fighters do stay and look at their opponent, sometimes they don't. I don't think people give anything away in open workouts. Often you'll see somebody come in and box the wrong way around just to try and fool their opponents into something. I think I think maybe need to let you go. Is that the...
Well, it's getting close.
Is that
I've
the
got to go
situation?
quite shortly,
Okay,
but-
well, I don't want to get you into trouble. So
Well,
we
just
can,
just before I do go, I just want to comment on the power of Natasha Jonas there. We saw her, that right hook that we was talking about, driving that shot over the top. That's the dangerous shot for Michaela as she comes in. Michaela is the type of girl that walks forward in straight lines, and she relies on work rate and just grinding her opponents down. You can't afford to do that with someone like Natasha Jonas, who really whacks with that right hand and the left. And on that note, my friend, I have to leave you because I've got other work commitments.
Well, what a cameo that was. What a cameo that was. Yes, I'll see you soon, I'm sure. So Natasha Jonas just going through her paces on the pads, chasing Spencer Oliver. 3 days to go. As I said to Lauren Price earlier on, often on these open workout days, fighters will have trained once in the day already. And they will also, on a Wednesday before a fight on a Saturday, they will have to have their Wednesday weigh-in, because under the British Boxing Board of Control, 3 days out from fight night, you need to be within 3% of your fighting weight. So you have to make sure that you hit that mark, which for welterweight would see you needing to be about 150 and a half. A bit more than that, about 151 or thereabouts, just to make sure that everybody's losing the weight in the right way and not looking to try and take too much off too late. Physically that can be dangerous. So there's a lot that goes into fight week for boxers, a lot going on behind the scenes that people don't always see. Tomorrow there's the press conference, and Friday the weigh-in. Once the weigh-in is done, it's at that point really that they can start to relax. The refueling, the rehydrating is quite an intricate process in itself. It's certainly not as simple as just stepping off the scales and drinking a massive bottle of water and having something to eat. You've got to make sure you do it in exactly the right way, but generally speaking you'll find that fighters could get slightly more tetchy if they're making weight as the week progresses. This being an IBF title fight as well, they do have the weigh-in on the Saturday morning, the 10% rule that they have, or 10% or thereabouts. It's not 10% in every single weight. You've got to be within 10% the next morning, which won't be a problem for her, I'm sure. Okay, Tash, enjoy that.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit of a sweat on. Fighters, generally speaking, you don't tend to do too much at the open workouts, but it's always nice in front of the cameras with your daughter here as well, just to get loose and just hit a few pads.
Yeah, I think there's been a bit of an interruption to our usual schedule because of obviously it's fight week and you taper down, and you've got a lot more media commitments, so it's nice just to hit something. I've had a couple of days off, so.
And how are you feeling? I mean, obviously you were training over Christmas, training over New Year, but that's life. That's the life of a professional fighter.
Of course it is. It's just another fight camp. I might have, gone over a holiday, but it is what it is. We have to. Yeah, that's one of the very small sacrifices that we make. But we still had a good Christmas. The baby's still smiling. That takes a lot.
And the mural as well. I was just saying to Spencer, that's a big deal, isn't it? Just describe to us how that came about, when you kind of found out about it, that it was going to happen, the area of Liverpool it's in, and why that means a lot to you.
Yeah, I didn't find out until people was tagging me in it, just as it was getting done. And yeah, it's just a celebration, and I think of the achievements that I've had, and a representation of the positive representation of Liverpool that I put out there. It's in the area of Toxteth, where I grew up as a child, and where the dreams of being the woman that I am now started.
In terms of the fight week itself, I get the feeling with somebody like Mayer, one thing you don't have to really factor in is not too much verbal sparring. Sometimes if you're not careful, the fighter can end up investing a bit too much emotional energy in fight week, but with the pair of you here, I mean, you're respectful of each other, aren't you? You're not best friends, but I don't think anyone's going to really try too hard to get inside the other person's head.
Yeah, and I think it's a totally different atmosphere to the Baumgartner, and we are very respectful of each other. We appreciate what each other brings to the table, and we, thank each other for taking the fight. It wasn't a mandatory for me. It wasn't a fight that I had to take, but it's one that if I want to be able to say I'm the best, one of the best in this area, then I have to be beating them girls in the top 10, a pound for pound list, and Mayer's one of them.
Yeah, absolutely, and she brings plenty to the table herself, doesn't she, in terms of her marketability and her ability to, talk up a fight and really sell the sport and sell herself, which is, this is a business. It's an important thing to be able to do. Stylistically, what do you feel like you're going to get from her? Because she does like to set her feet. She does like to have a tear up. I think she will be definitely respectful of the power that you bring. We're all looking at this and expecting it to catch fire pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be a reactive fighter. I don't want to just be going off what she does. I'm going to be, putting my best foot forward, and she's going to have to change and adapt her style to fit me. And I'm going to impose my strengths. So, yeah, I don't want to give away too much of the game plan, but I expect it, to be fireworks from the off. And, I think our styles will gel together and make a good fight.
So finally, we were just talking about this with Joe. I was talking to Paul Smith about it as well. I commentated on your fight against Viviane Obernauf, and I'll be honest, at that point, I didn't see this coming. I just didn't, because it was a bad stoppage. It would have been a difficult one to get over mentally.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, tell us about that. The kind of the road back. I mean, did you ever at any point think to yourself, I'm not sure this is going to work out?
I think this just shows the resilience that I've built up in myself and the strength that I have, not only physically but mentally. It was a long road back. It was a time where I thought, my boxing dream was done. But there was something burning deep and down inside me that said, you can't let it finish like that. You're better than that. And I knew I was world class level. It was just a blip in the road. And yeah, I had to build myself from the ground up and reset myself and go again, which I did, and here we are.
Here we are indeed, perseverance. That's the key, isn't it? You never know what's around the corner. And you have, again, after Terry Harper, you're probably thinking to yourself, is this going to happen? Yeah. Katie Taylor, but, you got there, and now you're reaping the rewards. Okay, so best of luck on Saturday. We'll see you again plenty of times during the course of the week. Thanks for joining us, everybody. That's the open workouts concluded from the Everlast Gym here in Liverpool. Join us for the press conference tomorrow.